The patch notes overall did look pretty solid. They look pretty solid. I mean, I haven't played it yet, so I'm not entirely sure on that front. I feel like this patch probably should have came with 1.0 and or very shortly after it. 4 months into wipe, a little late. I do think it's a little late, but hey, better late than never, right? Better late than never. So, but I just wanted to cover it. Then we'll go in, we'll check it out. But first and foremost, let's hit the patch notes. Multiple improvements aimed at optimizing client performance across all locations. The impact of these changes will depend on the player's hardware configuration and in-game settings. I was told that this is not so much aimed at high-end PCs, but more aimed at mid to low-end PCs. And so I'm not entirely sure how much of a difference I will see, but that's what I saw on Twitter. One of the devs was saying that. And so more aimed towards mid to low tier PCs rather than the upper end. And thanks to Starforge, we're on the upper end. Like quite literally have the beefiest PC you could have for Tarkov outside of a 5090. But the game's CPU and RAM intensive, so a 5090 I don't think would really actually do anything for me. Thanks to Starforge, we got the highest end PC that we can have for Tarkov, so I'm not even sure if we're going to see too much of a change with that guy. My PC ran Tarkov fine, right? And so I think that they should focus on the low end to mid tier PCs and making the game run really well for those guys. I think that's probably the majority of the community is probably going to be on those PCs rather than the NASA bullshit that Tarkov required before, right? As part of optimization efforts, an updated player calling system has been implemented on customs, interchange, and reserve. This system has already been active on streets of Tarkov. On implementation on all locations is planned in future updates. I knew what the calling system was once upon a time. I do not fully remember what it is. Anything with optimization, I'm all for, but player calling is a performance optimization technique in video games, most notably in Rust, that stops the game from rendering player models that are not within your direct line of sight or are behind cover. By not drawing invisible players, it reduces strain on client machine, potentially increasing FPS by 10 to 20%. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. If the maps are rendering all the players from all across the map on your screen at all times, that's going to definitely eat up some of your performance, right? And so and you don't need to see those players if you don't, they're not, if you don't see them, your game shouldn't be having to render it on your PC. So, okay, that's not bad. So we'll test customs, interchange, and reserve, see if there's any difference. Improve the responsiveness and smoothness of main menu tabs and dialogue loading. That's nice. That's really nice because the menu is getting laggy there for a bit. I think that was mainly because I had too many people on my friends list though. So yeah, if it's more smooth and responsive, I think we can all agree that's a good thing. Added the ability to play as a scav solo in PVE zone on a local client to reduce raid matchmaking time. Okay, cool. So you get PVEers can scav and it'll be local. So that's good. As otherwise, if it's on their servers, performance might be a little bit better, but the load time will be a lot longer because you're waiting for a server to open up. But local client, the performance might go down a little bit because now your machine's having to load everything, but you'll load in instantly. Added further improvements aimed at reducing online raid loading times. Hey, that's a plus. Their most recent patch was a big thumbs up on that front. The queue times have been great. I don't necessarily know on the side of have the lobbies been more full. We might have less completely full lobbies, but the matchmaking time has been stellar. Adjusted the healing priority for multifunctional med kits after treating bleedings. Priority is now given to head and thorax. Solid. This is one of those ones that I just am so mind blown that it took them 7 years to figure out the priority. Marathon, their healing, the auto heal or whatever is solid. Its priority list is very good on what it wants to use and when it wants to use it. The smart heal on that game is phenomenal. And I can't think of another game that the smart heal where you have several different types of bleeds, fractures, body limbs, death, hitboxes. So your arm being blacked out compared to your thorax being blacked out, two completely different things, right? Your thorax being blacked out and then any extra damage, you're dead. Your arm being blacked out, any extra damage gets transferred to the rest of your body, right? And so if your thorax is on 1 HP and your arm's on 1 HP, what do you think the game should heal? Previously, it was going to go off of whatever was the lower HP percentage wise. And so if it was 1 out of 85, it's going to prioritize that over 1 out of 60. which was good. You know, you wanted it to prioritize the thorax, but there was a lot of weird spots where it was like, okay, if you have a fracture and you're trying to do a serve kit and your left arm's fractured, but your right arm's blacked out, you're using a serve kit most definitely on your right arm, right? Because you're not going to use a serve kit on your fracture. It's just that just doesn't make any sense. But priority said, let's go ahead and hit that fracture first. Made zero sense. That was a while back. I think they had changed that too. So either way, I hope they get that priority system down, because it is, with how many complications there are with different meds and everything, I think it's just one of those learning curves that isn't necessary in the game all that much. It's nice having all the different, you got your bleed, the heavy bleed, light bleed, fracture, blacked out limbs, and then the different death boxes. It's nice having all that depth, but it can be a little confusing for new players on like how to heal and everything like that. And so having something that's a little bit more fluid whenever you go to heal is solid. Added magazine drop sounds during reload and when discarding mags. Please tell me it does not sound similar to us dropping a gun. Very quiet, it's subtle, significantly different and clean. Good. Okay. Because I was worried that, you know, when you drop a gun in Tarkov, it hits the ground and then and just like bounces around there and makes a crazy amount of noise. Like, I mean, a bull in a china shop would be quieter than dropping an MP7 on the ground, like on dirt. You know, you drop it on dirt and it sounds like it's rattling on metal. That was terrible. Yeah, like a ratchet in a steel garbage can. That's the best description. Yeah, it was when you drop a weapon in Tarkov, it sounds like you're throwing a ratchet into a steel garbage can. I'm all for like the sounds when you drop stuff. I do think it's a little, when discarding magazines, that's the spot that I think they could just leave out. And this is what they should have done. Added magazine drop sounds during reload. That right there. That's all they needed to do. Period. Stop right there. Because when you double click R to reload and you drop your mag, or when you go to reload and you don't have a slot for the second mag, the mag you're taking out to go into your rig, it's just going to go on the ground. There's a lot of times when you won't realize that you had picked up an item, it filled up the last slot you had available to reload a mag, and so now anytime when you reloaded, you're going to drop that mag, right? That helps that. So like that little drop sound would make it to where like, oh, I accidentally dropped the mag. Quality of life feature. Awesome. When discarding magazines, unnecessary. Not necessarily the worst, but like why choose magazines? But then if I drop, say, a bag out of a bag, it doesn't make any sound. I could drop a full BlackRock rig or a blackjack backpack out of another bag and it won't make any sound. And it could be full of mags, right? It could be full of tank batteries, no sound whatsoever. And so like in my mind, it's just kind of a weird thing to choose. It's like, yo, let's hit up with the mags and make those drop. So unnecessary, to be quite honest. I have a feeling that they couldn't do one without the other. Like I have, that's my guess, is they couldn't do one without the other. But at the end of the day, if it is subtle and quiet and it's not going to sound like you're throwing a ratchet into a metal trash bin, no problem. Not a big deal. I do think this first part is cool. Second part unnecessary. I don't think they could do the second part without doing the first part just based on the coding. It's my guess. Either way, not bad. Personalization is a cool one. Players who have previously purchased the Edge of Darkness edition, the EOD edition, as well as those who upgraded from Edge of Darkness to the Unheard edition now have access to unique customization sets for both factions. We'll check that out. Yeah, we get the EOD owners now get the clothing in the game, which is cool. Added new customization sets, USEC, Scav Tac, and Bear 3 stripes available for purchase on the official Escape from Tarkov website. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. Let me actually pull that up. So this is the USEC clothing. I kind of fuck with it. I like that you get the top and bottom. It matches, right? How sick is that? It matches, you know? And just for the price of $13, I no longer have to worry about killing Killa 100 times. I could just get this for $13. Oops. And here's the bear one. Now, we kind of touched on it yesterday with PSG and their marketing of skins and stuff like that. So anyone that grinded Killa tracksuit, which takes hundreds of hours, you're going to lose your mental doing it. They get this top, right? You get the Killa tracksuit top, but you don't get the Adidas tracksuit bottoms. And so basically this kind of plays into, one, BSG is just not very good at marketing, and their skins, their in-game skins, it's interesting because if you wanted the USEC clothing, but you have a bear account, but you don't want to have the green, you want the black one, it's like tough. And like these have nothing to do with USEC versus bear, right? It doesn't say bear anywhere on here. It just makes no difference. I'm so glad USEC got this one because this one's ugly as fuck. I'll say it right now. This one's ugly. I would not rock this one in game. Just not for me. This one, I'd rock the hell out of it. That's sick. That's sick. I'm glad I have a USEC account because if it was the other way around, like I wouldn't spend any money, right? Now, if they just had it to where regardless if you rocked bear, regardless if you rocked USEC, you could buy either one, they would make more money. Without a doubt, they would make more money. So it's mind-blowing to me that they don't have that as an option. And then on top of that, it is kind of a spit in the face to their player base and the player base's time on. It's like, yeah, I know you guys spent a lot of time to grind the tracksuit and like we teased matching clothing for the bottoms and everything. And they turn around and they just sell it in game. It's not the exact bottoms, right? That's not going to match any better than that with that. But it is kind of like if it was my player base and I had a quest in game that took hundreds and hundreds of hours to get to, I would include the bottoms if I were then to turn around and try and sell it as well. That part didn't sit right with me necessarily. I think the tracksuit owners should get the matching bottoms to this top because otherwise, like, yeah, it just is. That's not it. That's not it. But that's, yeah, either way, this is the new clothing. And this is another example, dude. I think these bottoms are just ugly as hell. And then this is the clothing for EOD owners. I'll pull it up in game. But this is the clothing for the EOD owners. The flannel with the black puffy jacket. That one's cool. I like this one. It's funny because they have a typo here. Veteran Edsig. I wonder if they fixed that at all. But that is not a G. That's not a G. So, Etsy. Oh, bear's different. There's a different bear one for the EOD owners. And like that right there, where it's like, I'm more okay with that type of clothing being separate on bear versus USEC. But it's more so the selling part of it. It's still just as confusing to me as to why they went about that route. Yeah, but personalization, they added some new skins for sale. And they finally added the EOD owners. Yeah, that's free for EOD owners. The flannel one's free for EOD owners. Some balancing changes. Figurines and posters previously available as rewards during the release Twitch drops event now spawn on locations. I got a mixed bag on that one. I'm glad that they added them in because there's the cat figurine, the BTR. There's a bunch of the cool figurines that I wouldn't mind finding in game. And then on the flip side, I did think it was kind of cool to have an item in game that you can't get anymore. And it was like, if you were a part of that event, you were a part of that event. And years down the road, that would have been a sick thing to have in your stash or highlighted in your hideout. And it brings me back to RuneScape. With RuneScape, you had these items in the OG days where if you played during the events, and they still have them now, but when you play during the events, you would get these cool in-game items, and like a Santa hat or a cracker that if you broke open, you could get a party hat out. You would get a party hat. It'd be a random one, or party hats, or these like a scythe, and they were mad expensive because you couldn't get them anymore. And so it's kind of like a status symbol of like, damn, you own one of those? That's sick, right? Like, holy shit, dude, you've been playing that long. And so that was a cool thing. But on the flip side, it's like, well, you lose them when you prestige because you couldn't bring them back over when you prestige. And then it also makes it to where like you could buy them off the flea market, which I think having them tradable is nice, but it did make it to where you'd have to pay a premium if you wanted to get the item. And so I spent a lot of money on the cat statues and I don't regret doing it at all, or the cat figurines, not statues, but the cat figurines. So overall, I think it's probably a good thing that they added them into loot because they're a fun item to loot, but it does take away any sort of, and RuneScape did the same thing also I don't know how the RuneScape side of it played out But the Santa hats and party hats, they're dirt cheap now. You can go buy them on the Grand Exchange for like 5,000 rubles or 5,000 coins or whatever it is, gold. And so they're super cheap. The rarity and the coolness factor is just no longer there with them. Increased available time window for transitioning from shoreline to terminal. Nice. Okay. That one I liked. To be honest, I wasn't a big fan on that because it was like, not this change, but having the time window so strict, because if you miss the time window, you're going to have to wait like 25 minutes, and not everyone has that much time to wait, right? Not a big deal if you're a content creator that plays 8 to 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Not a big deal. If you got an hour or two and you were wanting to run it, but it's the wrong time, it's like, damn, well, now you might not have time to run it because you got to wait the 25 minutes to then be able to go in. And if you die once on the way there, it's like that eats up a lot of time. And so having that time window widened, it's a good thing. Increased experience gained for completing PMC operational tasks is a good thing. The loot, or not the loot, but the XP gained or needed even is been wonky this wipe. They increased the amount of XP you needed and then nerfed the amount of XP you'd gain on like unsuccessful raids, but then buffed it. And so like it's been an ongoing changes on balancing it. And I'm all for them increasing the XP gained. I think that as it stands, it's a little, they're fine tuning it. As it stands, it was a little too difficult and time consuming to get to the higher levels. And again, not a big deal if you play as much as content creators do, but if that average dude playing it was too much. It was too much. And so I think having the experience gained for completing tasks is a good thing. I don't think I also heard that they nerfed the amount of XP that you get from Labyrinth. I was not a fan of like Labyrinth being the main bread and butter for XP. And I think that having it spread out more evenly amongst other tasks is a good thing. It shouldn't just be like, yo, if you want to level up, you just go spam Labyrinth or something like that. It's like, I think having some variety on XP farming is solid. Significantly simplified the PMC operational task objectives. I'm not entirely sure what they changed with that, but I'm also okay with that. I think it depends on what they mean by simplified. Yeah, I'd have to look at what all changes they did. Remove the objectives for co-op extraction in both PMC and Scav operational tasks. Massive W. This right here, you had to cheese. There was a quest that required you to have to take the PMC Scav extract, and the amount of people I had come in asking for it, asking how to do it, was absurd because it was so ridiculously difficult to get a scav to get into the extract with you, or it was on woods too, like the map that you're just not going to find very many scavs. And the way to do it was you had to throw a smoke at your feet while you're sitting in the extract, shoot a loud gun to bait a scav to come over and check the area out, and the scav would walk in the smoke, and then you'd extract with the scav because he wouldn't see you because of the smoke, but he'd be interested in checking out the area because of the loud shots. And it was cheesy. Not needed for a quest, especially for a late game quest on the main storyline. He just had no fit. Reduce the number of priest kills required for completion in the story chapter. They are already here to 1 instead of 2. So cut it in half. I'm okay with that too. I think that the cultists are kind of a pain in the butt to find. And on all the other boss kill quests, besides killing Killa 100 times, you got to go kill Sturman twice with 2 different weapons. But like all the other bosses, the boss kill quest is like, go kill them once, get their, and then maybe get their specific item and turn it in. And so I think that's fine. Hunting the cultists is kind of a pain in the butt. And if you kill them once, that's enough of an accomplishment. Having to kill them twice, it's not any more difficult, but just grindy. It just takes more time, right? And so if you've done it once, you can do it twice. So yeah, I think that's not bad. Reduce the trader response wait timers by 40% in the following story chapters. Following skies, the Ticket, the Unheard, the Labyrinth, and the Batya. See, that's another one. Is like I think they should have done this maybe a week into the wipe, maybe 2 weeks, definitely a month into wipe, 100 trillion% 2 months into the wipe. We're 4 months into the wipe, and they're just now doing it. It's not especially for the Batya. The time gates in this is like every quest or every other quest. You can do like one quest and you got to wait 24 to 48 hours to do the next part. I can't think of any game in the history of ever that on the main story you go to play through the campaign and the main story is like, nah, you got to wait 24 hours IRL. It just didn't make any sense. I don't know why they went in with so many time gates. wouldn't it be as big of a deal? They were short time gates, maybe, you know, 24 hours in game, you know, like that would fit the lore. That makes sense. It's weird that Reshala has an understanding, or not Reshala, but Proper has an understanding that that Tarkov's in-game time is different than out-of-game time, and he goes off the out-of-game time. They try to slow down speedrunners. That makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. So slowing down the speedrunners, that's fine. And that's why I think that it would make sense to have done it a week into wipe when we had someone hit terminal, or 2 weeks in wipe when we had 100 people or 1,000 people hit terminal, or a month into wipe when damn near every content creator has hit terminal and there's guides out and videos and spoilers. And it's like, at that point, this, and the thing is like, speedrunners, like what are they wanting to stop the speed running? I'd understand if it's going to give you an advantage, but like speedrunning through Batia doesn't give you any sort of an advantage. Completing terminal doesn't give you any sort of an advantage. It's like, I could see why they would want to have the time gate for slowing down speedrunners if it meant that they were going to have an unfair advantage over the rest of the community. But that just wasn't the case. And then I'm okay with, I think it's good. For me personally, I'd say remove all the time gates from the main storyline and let the player base play at their own pace, especially this late into wipe, especially in a game that they're not going to be wiping. They're not wiping these accounts anymore. There's zero. I can't think of any logical reason to still have a time gate into the game. I can't think of any logical reason to still have the time gate in the game. But hey, lowering it by 40%, it's better than nothing. Added alternative objectives to the story chapter tour to simplify location unlocks. Players can now either visit the location multiple times or survive on it one time to complete the objective. Okay, that's not bad. I think that works out, because it makes more sense to me that like once you extract from that location, or even, you know, yeah, once you extract from that location, then that should open it up on the map. I feel like that is solid. I feel like that's solid. I wonder if they changed up, like, do you have to pay 20k USD for Lightkeeper or Lighthouse? Like, I mean, you still can just go survive it once, but why would anyone ever pay 20k USD? And so I wonder if they made any changes to that whatsoever. They're just like, no one's going to pay the 20k USD. But that's not bad, I guess. Simplifying it to where you just got to survive one time or visit the location multiple times. So you don't have to survive. You can just visit it multiple times. So maybe they did away with the quests as a whole on the tour, and rather this is now it. Reduce the duration of most hideout crafts required for story progression by 40%. Another time gate thing. That's good that they changed it up. Standardize the protection zones of front and rear built-in armor for light armor vests and armored rigs. That one's a question mark. Well, anytime they have any sort of thing where they mess with the hitboxes and or how the armor works, it's always a question mark. Might be a good thing, might not. I'm going to wait for Airwing to go test it, to be quite honest. Adjusted the prices for most armor vests and armored rigs. Prices of plate carriers without built-in armor have been significantly reduced. Because realistically, plate carriers without any built-in armor, you shouldn't run them. You want built-in armor. Just the plate carriers that don't have any built-in armor should be very cheap, because they're just not good. Increase the raider count in labs by 20%. Not bad. It used to be labs used to be like the main way to get XP. If you wanted grind XP, you'd hit up labs and go kill raiders and stuff like that. And then they nerfed the XP you get from raiders, and then they nerfed the amount of raiders that spawn in labs. And so it's like now it was like 10-ish raiders that you could kill in labs. So an increase of 20%. That's solid. It's not a crazy amount, right? So they're going to add, it's probably like another set of raiders that are going to spawn, another set of 3. Increase the quantity and quality of loot in locked and marked rooms. Solid. That needed to be done. In my mind, I feel like if you're going to have the most expensive key in the game, it should be a good key. You should be rewarded for that. It shouldn't be, just absolutely steroided out to where that's the only way to get any sort of good loot. Bosses and or quests and or marked rooms or locked rooms in general, and then a chance to get other stuff across the map. That's solid. But I think increasing the quantity and quality of the loot in locked and marked rooms is great. When you go into RBVO, you open up, it's solid, dude. There's like 20 different guns and like a few different big rare items, like a red key card or the documents case and stuff like that. But the you go open marked room on customs and there's like a Keter and maybe a pistol on the ground. It's just such a letdown. So increasing the quality of loot in locked and marked rooms is great. Increase the fuel tank spawn chance at gas stations on customs, lighthouse, and shoreline. Not bad. Reduce the arming distance of the VOG 25 round to 10 meters. Did it have a 40 millimeter or an arming distance? Could you not just shoot that at your feet and it blow up? Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one. I could have sworn there wasn't 40 millimeter under barrel launcher. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That you used to be able to just shoot at the ground and it would explode. It's the silver one, is it not? That goes for the AKs. The VOG 25 round. Right, now it's 10 meters. Okay, so they increased the arming distance of the VOG 25 to 10 meters. Okay, so increased, not reduced. I wonder if they even knew that there was no arming distance. Reduce the trade or sell price of the HE grenade. This is the good one. I'm pretty sure the HE grenades are the good ones. Increase the trade or sell price of the VOG 25. So reduce the trade or sell price of this one, but increase the trade or sell price of that one. Okay. This might not be the good one. The good ones for the 40 by 46 are the ones that arm at 8 to 10 feet, and the bad ones are like 45 to 75 feet away. 386 is not the good one. Okay, so it's these are the one that arms like you guys shoot at distance. Okay, these are bugged. Don't use them. You can if you want. They work in a very specific range, and if you go barely far outside that range, they no longer do any damage. They'll tear up the person. Stank Rat and I tested it. We were doing a trolley thing, and we were trying to kill someone with a grenade launcher from all the way across the map. And so we set up lineups, and so you'd aim at the same thing, specific spot, shoot it, and then it hit across the map. And we had it to where Stank was landing the grenades at my feet, and they were doing zero damage. But they were it was f***ing up my plates. So like it was tearing up my armor, but was doing nothing to my HP. And even when I wasn't wearing any armor, it was still doing no HP damage at all. So these grenades are bugged. These are not, but these are. And so that's why we had to swap to the AK and rerun all the tests and stuff. It wasted like 4 hours. We ended up getting it. It was funny. The YouTube video is out. It's been out for years, but expanded the objective areas for elimination tasks with specific zones. Oh, pest control and safe corridor. Nice. These were a pain in the butt because they were on reserve and you had to do it in the hermetic bunker or in the barracks. So hopefully these two. I'm all for expanding the objective areas. So basically on these quests, it's always like you got to kill someone within a certain perimeter. And as it gets later, they fixed the MP7 problem. Damn, that's unfortunate. That was going to be fun. We were going to go into a offline raid, 20 of us, and run around. But yeah, basically they'll have a perimeter of the area you have to finish the quest in. That can sometimes be a pain in the butt on finding players in those areas, especially for PVE homies, right? Like trying to get PMC up into the office area on factory was a pain in the ass for the longest time. I don't know if it still is, but yeah, apparently it was a pain in the ass for the longest time. Adjust the built-in armor protection zones for the following armor vests and armored rigs. The Eclipse with the lowercase I. Remove the groin protection. I was told this is still there, but we'll see. Either way, no, not going to protect your penis anymore. Cry Precision AVS and Stitch Profi Plate Carrier V2. Oh, that's the same one, actually. Is it? No. The AVS. Move the stomach protection to groin protection. Remove the lower back protection. Okay. So does it no longer protect your stomach? I think that's what it's saying, which would kind of, somewhat make a little more sense because the armor plate would be here and then it'd have a little flap and there'd be another armor plate in on the low side. And so there'd be like a little bit of a leeway there where there's not going to be plate covering. So I guess that makes a little more sense, but reduce the penalties and increase spawn chance of the following heavy armor vests. Good. The Zabralo, the Redut, the Gen 4. Good. These guys were kind of nerfed into being obsolete for the longest time because they were just so heavy. They're too heavy, too many debuffs, and they don't protect you any better than the other armors. And they're supposed to be like the best protection. It's like they didn't give you any more protection than rocking just like the Thor armor that only covered your thorax. Like they gave a little bit, but it'd be tier 3 and everyone's got better ammo than tier 3. Scavs will have better ammo than tier 3 from time to time. Added new Barters at Ragman level 4. On this right here, the biggest thing is reduce the penalties. Increase the spawn chance is solid for like the Zabralo because you need that for the quest line. You got to get one under 75%. And so having an increased spawn rate of that's solid. But the biggest thing is reduce the penalties because these guys were nerfed into Oblivion, really. Add a new Barters at Ragman level 4. You get the Redut and the Gen 4 without plates. Remove outdated trade offers at Mechanic Loyalty level 1, previously unlocked after completing the task failed setup. Reduce the requirements for the following Barters. Okay. Not bad. So you get these a little cheaper. And then a bunch of fixes. Let's see if any of these are like notable enough to cover. I'm sure there are. So bodies of water shouldn't disappear for people. People were online being like, oh, it's a tsunami event. It's like, fix an issue where healing continued after cancellation when searching a backpack looted from another player. PvEers can now get achievements. Well, the ones that they might not have received. Fix incorrect damage registration after fixing a weapon malfunction in certain cases. That's a big one, dude. That's a big one because your gun would jam and then you would clear it and fix it, but then the game would register you as having not fixed it. And so your next like bullet out, I think it was just the one bullet, wouldn't do any damage. Or it might have been that mag even or something. I can't remember what, but basically it just made it to where like the damage did not register because it would, the game thought that your shit was broken. But as I say, they've said they've fixed that a few times now, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see. Fix the cause of the BTR driver task progression resetting in certain cases. Remove the ability to list incomplete ammo stacks on the fleet. Bro, that should have been done. That should have been a hot fix and fixed immediately. It's crazy that they let that shit go on for so long because people were just scamming over the other players. You'd go to buy an ammo box on the flea, and if you didn't click on it and check the weight, then you might buy an ammo box that only has one bullet in it, and tough. It's like you spent full price on, and expensive at that, for one bullet. You'd be like 100K for one bullet of M855A1. So I'm glad that they removed the ability to list incomplete ammo stacks. That should have been a hot fix. Literally as soon as that got discovered, that should have been hot fixed. Fix the inability, which it might not have been that easy of a fix, and so that's why it took so long. Either way. Fix the inability to pay for vehicle extracts when currency was split across multiple stacks. Didn't know that. Fix an issue where gear preset purchases failed if item required different currencies or barter traders. I wonder if that's the same with like weapon presets. I hope so. When you go to edit a gun and you have your preset that you would try and build out, a lot of times it'd be like, oh, we're sold out of that item. But the traders would have some, the flea market would have a ton, definitely weren't sold out. And so I'm hoping that also includes weapon presets. But when they say gear presets, I'm thinking it means when you're in your stash and in the top left, you have like your full gear presets, not just the gun, but like the full gear. Fix the cases where killed bots remained in eating or drinking animations. Fix an issue where opening the search window in stash caused client freezes for some players. Lowest durability armor was selected when equipping presets. Nice. That's solid. Because that one was a pain. It ended up changing a lot of... like if you do the equip presets, it does it with your keys and meds as well. It will try and deal with the highest durability, which isn't necessarily any better because if you have like a 3 out of 10 use marked room key and you have a 10 out of 10 use marked room key and you do the gear preset, it's going to take that 10 out of 10 use marked room key instead of the 3 out of 10. And so but the 10 out of 10 is what's going to be the valuable one. A 3 out of 10 one, it loses value as you use it, right? And a 10 out of 10 one, it's just 100%. So people will pay more. So like that's not bad. It's not a bad start. The lowest durability armor being selected was kind of a pain because you obviously are going to want the higher durability one. But now like with meds and meds, you'd want the higher durability. But it also is like, okay, if you have a 3 out of 10 golden star, but a 10 out of 10, then you would probably want to use the 3 out of 10 one, not the 10 out of 10. Because again, the full durability ones will sell better on the flea. Trying to post up a bunch of 5 out of 10s, 6 out of 10s, 7 out of 10s, 8 out of 10s. You can't stack them when you sell them, obviously. And so it's a little bit more tedious than it should be. Fix unnatural water reflections with SSR enabled. Fix the inability to transfer money to mechanic in the story chapter unheard. Fix error 228 when handing in multiple documents to Mr. Kerman during the first intel submission. Duplicated Kerman dialogues in certain cases. Error 228 after exiting certain dialogues. So like a bunch of just fixes with the main storyline tasks. Item loss from backpacks and PvE. Improve third-person sprint animation transitions from crouch positions. Fix the duplicate notifications when switching between story chapters. Fix the missing dialogue response options in certain cases. These are all big because like, dude, if you're missing one of the dialogue response options, Like that would literally just pause your quest. You weren't going to be able to continue. You're stuck there. And there's a lot of people that happened to. Fix the missing flashbang explosion sound when player was above or below the detonation point. Fix an issue preventing item filter selection at traders. Fix an incorrect purchase of cross armor at trader ref. Fix an ability to transfer items to traders immediately after receiving them via in-game. Now these are just fix the issue with Black Division Bird Eye weapon presets as well as Galante gear presets. Rework the tripwire placement for the Labyrinth. That's a good one. Yeah, the dude, when I ran Labyrinth right after that bug happened and I spawned in, took one step forward and hit a tripwire. And I was like, holy shit, a tripwire, what the hell? And so I sprinted away from it and I hit another tripwire. And then I sprinted away from that one and hit another tripwire and sprinted away from that one and hit another tripwire. And I was like, I'm just going to hide in the corner. And I ducked down and hid in the corner and didn't die from the tripwire. But then I hear my door open for my spawn and I hear Tegila's voice line. I'm like, what the hell? That raid was insane. But I died and it was on the last AI. I ran out of ammo and all of the AI was dead in my spawn and no one could get to any of the loot. So if anyone else spawned in that lobby, they weren't going to be able to get anything outside of the open world loot, which is fine because there's a crazy amount of open world loot. But if you were there for like, you know, any other reason, yeah, that was a funny one. But that there was one spawn that had like 10 tripwires in it. And then another spawn that had another tripwire in it that was like up against the wall that you weren't likely to hit. So yeah, I mean, that's a good rework. Glad that one's in. All right, so those are the patch notes. Overall, dude, I think it's a pretty solid patch. It has a bunch of optimizations and quality of life and bug fixes. That's what we need. I fully stand by it. I think that's the biggest thing Tarkov needs is those three things. And just keep hitting us with these patches to where we get optimization, bug fixes, and quality of life updates. And then, you know, come July, we'll get the seasonal characters. That's where you can focus on some new content. But making the game more accessible to the lower end PCs or the mid-tier PCs is huge. And I think that's a big one with the CPU changes. That's huge. The rest of these changes and balance fixes, I think overall, dude, there's only a couple things in the patch note that I'm like, not needed or not wanted, but 99% of it, dude, solid.